Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Bro Time. Woohoo! Uh,
Yeah.
this is me, David, Davendell, whatever you want to say, and I'm with Dan here,
Danny Jenkins, you can
Danny
also call me.
Jenkins. That's
Yeah.
right, Danny Jenkins
Yeah.
today.
That was the nickname you coined for me when we're discussing about doing a Forsaken broadcast.
I think that was our first sound test, right? Or like our official
Yeah.
this is the best it's gonna get sound test.
How wrong we were.
Did
How
we
naive.
Did we ever make that public? We didn't make that public, right?
No, but we could.
Yeah, we could. But I mean, that was just yeah, because I remember showing a lot of people just us talking because we were so just tired. I remember that. Yeah, I'm getting
Oh yeah, we
tired just
stayed up.
thinking about it.
Yeah, we stayed up so freaking late, just trying to get something that sounds tolerable. I guess. I mean, it
Yeah,
didn't sound terrible, but it does sound different uh, than some of the episodes we've done now, which you know is good. But yeah,
yeah. If anyone's noticed, like our sound quality, it's gotten a little better. It's not top tier primo, but it's not super echoey for the most part anymore.
yeah,
Um, we had to watch a lot
makes
of.
me think about
Go ahead.
how people did this back in the day. Like it's freaking crazy,
Oh yeah,
because nowadays,
streamers back in the
that's
Stone Age.
they would have to do everything through like smoke signals. You
That's
know,
right. Yeah, that was a live feed back then.
yeah, that was a live feed, and the broadband width is just absolutely terrible because you would have to deal with the wind. You'd have to deal with other people finding your camp and going in and possibly massacring your entire race.
Streaming, the real, the most dangerous game.
Oh man, we were talking about something off camera, but I think it definitely deserves being brought back up again. What do you think?
Oh yeah, talk about the primitive stuff.
Yes, because like
Definitely.
you look now, and we have it so much easier now. And I'm not just talking about with computers and cars and massagers that can rub your balls while also bake you a bagel at the same time. I know I'm talking
That's
about,
my favorite one.
isn't it? Oh man, mine's my. Oh jeez, look at this. This bird's
Bird.
not having the shit. It's like
Wow, the bird actually came out on top. That's
I
crazy.
know, but we came out on top afterwards.
Oh, yeah, I ain't no
But yeah,
bottom
like
bitch.
nah, neither am I. But yeah, it's crazy to think how things have gone from you know billions of years ago to now. And just in terms of tools, with hammers and swords and bows and arrows. So it's kind of crazy how things have progressed throughout the years and generations, really.
Yeah, I mean, uh, when we were talking about it, I was thinking, I was like, I guess I probably could just look this all up, but I don't know, kind of like brainstorming about it without looking anything up. It's kind of, I don't know, more fun, I guess.
It's a lot more interesting because you actually have to go into like the mindset of people back then, who didn't have Google, who didn't have cell phones, who sometimes even had just freaking shoes.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
like
yeah,
well, the one thing I've always wondered is what came first, the tool or the weapon? Because you just brought up a good one, the hammer. Like, I guess it probably was a weapon first.
I would think so.
I would
Because
assume a hammer would have been a weapon first.
right,
Just like, pounding somebody's face in or whatever animal or anything like that. And you're like, oh hey, I smashed Greg's in face with this. I smashed his face in with this, so I could probably build a house with this thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, especially considering our brains have evolved much more than how it was back then. We were just on the primate brain, very primitive, kill or be killed. So
Yeah.
I probably agree that a hammer and a lot of tools probably were used for protection and killing, for food, for defense, or just because it's an alligator. Fuck you. I'm the better dominant creature over here.
Yeah. Well, like one, I really want to know, like, and I'm like I said, I'm sure I could just look this up and all my questions would be answered. But I really want to know if like a spear was a tool, or that was awesome, was a tool or a weapon
Yeah.
first, because like fishing, like you were saying earlier, you assume that they first tried just using their hands, but I would assume
Yeah.
they probably made the spear directly to get fish. But at the same time, they could have made the spear for a lot of other things. Like, you know, I guess like what is the
Maybe
difference
like
between
plucking birds out of the sky.
well, I mean like what is the difference between a tool and a weapon? Like we were saying like, well, they probably used it for killing mammoths and stuff. It's like, okay, but that's still a tool though. That's
True.
like, yeah, it's a weapon. You're killing something, but I mean, you're doing the same thing with fish. Like,
Yeah.
you're stabbing
You're
it. Maybe
killing.
the fish won't die right away, but you're
You're
impaling a fish.
yeah. You're killing it, and for the purpose of you eating and surviving.
Yeah.
You kill a mammoth because you probably want its tusks for a weapon, or you may want its fur so that you can keep warm in the cold.
I
So
yeah, I'm pretty sure they used like everything back then. Like,
I'm not I'm not sure if there really was like a one use kind of thing for back then. Like I'm sure they probably used it for anything that they could. You know, for all we
yeah.
know, hell, someone could have been like using a spear to fucking pick someone's teeth as a toothpick, but they were just too lazy and just wanted to do it from a distance. Like, hey, here you go.
Yeah, I mean, think think like you had like a pet, like a big ass pet animal of some sort, and you're like, well, I'm just going to use this to pick its teeth because it's huge and I can't reach it, or
Like
something.
the thing reborn right here.
Yeah, I would totally use a spear for its teeth, but it doesn't look like it has teeth. Looks like it's a beak more.
Yeah,
It'll gum you,
like a bird.
give you a good old
Like a-
gumming.
Jesus.
But yeah, that's just some stuff we were talking about earlier, and I was curious, like, I think like swords, that was definitely just straight up a weapon. I don't think that was
Oh yeah.
hunting at all. And I don't know when swords were invented, or when they were, what era they were probably started in. I'm sure probably everything you could find a rudimentary version in the Stone Age. Whoa, that's a corrupt bird.
Corrupted.
Huh. But I would say things like a sword definitely was just a straight up a weapon. Like that was meant to murder people.
Yeah, or defend against armies.
Well, that's
Coming
what
at
yeah, that's what I mean. Like killing other humans, that was a sword.
Yeah.
War hammers, great axes, like the battle, like war axes, like I think they're called battle axes. That's like the two-handed. Those were totally weapons first. But then you have
Oh,
like
yeah.
things like a Dane axe, like like a wood cutting axe. Like, was that a weapon first or a tool first?
Yeah. I mean, all these are
Whoa.
good points. And I think it's another. Oh, there's a giant snake, and it's
There's a
coming right at us.
Big fucking snake. Let's do
Yeah.
it. Whoa.
I think it's also fun to think about, like,
Wow.
what the first human who thought about using a sword to not a sword, a spear. Sorry, using a spear. Back to the fish analogy, to use that for fishing instead of just using it to kill some gigantic animal that might be coming at you, or killing off someone who's trying to attack you. So I wonder what they were thinking of when they used it to capture a fish, and who it was too. But I don't think we're ever going to find out who exactly it was, because that's lost in the pages of history.
All right. Well, yeah, it's kind of hard to say for sure. The best we could do is say like what era. There's no way you'd be able to guess which person. Like that's impossible.
Oh yeah.
But the other thing that's crazy is like thinking about making a spear is you would assume that they probably used a rock of some sort, like a
Yeah.
stone. But I mean, think about like sharpening a stone. Have you ever tried to sharpen a stone? That takes a
No.
long time. Like
I imagine it takes like maybe a few hours.
that. Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably most of your day is sharpening a stone. Whereas like like nowadays it's like, oh yeah, let me sharpen your lawnmower blade. 10 minutes later, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you don't have much to really sharpen a stone with either. So
Yeah,
what do you
basically
use?
just other stones.
Probably another stone. Yeah, exactly. You pick up another stone, and then you try to sharpen it without trying to cause a fire.
Right.
So, which maybe that's how the first fire was invented. Maybe it was just someone who was trying to sharpen a spear, and they found out that when the sparks land on a piece of wood and they were hot enough, they invented fire that way. Like, oh, ooh, fire. I don't know.
That's probably true though. Like, I mean, most people always say to do like the log thing, like the stick thing. Like you.
You take two
Oh, a
sticks, put
spider?
them between your hand, and then you rub them fast, right?
Well, what I've seen is you like take kind of like tree bark or like a big stick, and you have like a hole, not a hole, but like a divot in it, and you put like dry leaves or grass, and then you take another stick, and you like grind it really fast, like you almost like you're trying to make like a noodle out of Play-Doh. You know what I mean? Like you rub it really fast in between your hands, and that's supposed to like create enough friction to cause heat and ignite the leaves and the grass to create fire. That's the way I've seen it done that way, which is really interesting. All the different ways that you can create fire. I guess this is probably just a very nuanced conversation, but just thinking like all the different ways they could have discovered fire. It's like what could have possibly been the first way?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of different religions, like I would say mankind started somewhere in the Middle East. I don't think it started in multiple locations. I think it started in one area. And then, people just moved out. They spread out everywhere.
Yeah. They moved out of their parents' house.
Yeah. I mean, really. Like, there had to have been a good few of them. I don't think it was ever just like, these were the first two. It's like, nah, I don't think so.
I don't know. Maybe, but...
Oh, shit!
No, I get your point.
Yeah, like... I feel like there was a good bit of them that evolved and they figured things out. They became more. Isn't there like a name? There's a name for the Neanderthals, right? That's what they were. Isn't that what they were called?
Like the ones who are like use very primitive thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, like those were what you think of as like cavemen,
Yeah.
right? Pretty sure.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, you can really describe that just as a really stupid person. You're
Don't be such a Neanderthal. Yeah.
Exactly.
But I mean, I think that's what those people, like the early people, were considered. I'm pretty sure they. at least I've heard the early humans referred to as Neanderthals.
Right. Because they weren't as possibly educated. Um,
Well, I think
in
Neanderthal
their
has
thinking.
become its own word now. Like, it's become a slang term for sure.
Yeah, but you never know. Maybe some of these Neanderthals were actually really smart. And
Well, they
obviously
had
they
to have
were.
been. I mean, think about it. Like, the fact that we're
I mean,
still the fact that we're here means they were really smart.
oh no, I'm thinking like what if they actually were able to like create like music, maybe art? They were. Some were.
Oh, yeah, they did
Some
for
were able to
sure.
draw on the paintings, like on the walls. You know,
Yeah.
that's why you see cave drawings. So they're out. They were obviously smart. They just weren't educated in voicing their ideas. You know, they had to rely on whatever way they could, whether it was in drawings or in physical language, like using your hands or your feet or whatever, or just grunts. You know?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's how some languages still are, though. Like they have like the clicks. Yeah, I don't know the names of the languages, but like the African tribes that they do like the clicks
Yeah.
and all that stuff. It's like that's a primitive language. Like I'm sure it's way more sophisticated now, but
Oh yeah.
that's a very primitive way. That's a primitive example of what language was probably like mostly. Like
Yeah.
for all we know, that probably is the first language. Like that tribe or those tribes that use those kinds of languages where it's more sounds than structure, like what we considered structure words or writings. That's
Yep.
probably what first lang. I mean, I'm gonna say that's 99% or 99% possibility that is what the first languages were like. Was that they
Right.
were uh, just simple sounds, grunts, gestures.
Yep.
Um, I I would assume like you were saying, like dances even were considered like a dance or a song is probably what we consider like a book or a movie nowadays. You have this person perform a very specific dance, and that dance is that's like that's their end game. This is the story of Thanos in
Yep.
song form. You know,
Or this is the bringing of the rain.
yeah,
We're
Lord of the
doing a rain
Rings.
dance, baby.
It's like all that stuff for us back then was probably like those dances and the rituals and all that stuff. It's
Yep.
awesome. Like it's so cool to think about that stuff.
Yeah.
And the fact that there are still a good chunk of people, like a good chunk of humans that still live that way. Like there's a lot
Yeah.
of
There's un.
societies.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
still tribes that are still very much primitive that have not been exposed to the modern technology. You know,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
for them it's scary, and I can totally believe it. I mean, it's like that episode of SpongeBob where Squidward accidentally goes into the future and everything is chrome, and he
Yeah.
just can't handle the fact that there's chrome in the future,
SB
and it's
one
just
two
a total
nine,
shot.
right?
SB 129.
Pretty sure that's the name of
Exactly.
the episode.
And that's exactly the episode. So yeah, I mean it's that shock of so many new things happening to you all at once. Like you cannot comprehend everything that's going on, and that's a real life thing, and that's what these tribes have.
Oh yeah.
These uncivilized, I don't know if uncivilized is the right word. There is an actual term for it, but they're just, you know what I mean? That they're just far away from
I know what you,
civilization. That
I
they're
know what you
just,
mean. Like you're saying uncivilized, but that doesn't mean they're like stupid. It's
no,
just they're not what we consider civilized. These civilized people, you know.
right?
But what makes me think about, or what I think about about these tribes, these humans that are mostly untouched by modern technology and modern society and everything else like that. I really want to know what they think of us. Like, I really
Yeah.
want to think like let's just imagine. Let's go into the what if machine. Like, what
Okay.
if we go into a great war and we end up killing ourselves? But then these tribes, they persist because, well, obviously they were not a part of the war. I mean, hopefully they survive our stupid wars. Um,
Hopefully they survive our
yeah,
bombs
yeah.
and our
Hopefully,
killing,
like
and they're just
whatever
like,
war wipes us out doesn't destroy the planet. Instead, just kills us because we're stupid. Um, let's
it
hope that
kills off a
these,
good 98, 99% of the population.
yeah, let's hope that these people persist and they survive and flourish, maybe. And
Hopefully.
yeah, I would hope. And they move out and they they do a great migration of some sort. They travel to new lands and then they kind of rediscover everything we had. It kind of makes you wonder, like, I wonder if they think we're like what we think of like aliens and stuff. Like
Yeah.
they were this other, like, we're humans, we look like them, we have basically the same look as them, but obviously we were different. I wouldn't say like we were sophisticated because I mean we fucking killed ourselves, but we were different because we didn't follow what they were doing, and these people are probably still stuck in like the tool age or the maybe even like the bronze age.
Yeah,
Um,
they're in that mentality.
yeah, like I wonder what our age is considered. The tech age? I don't know. I don't know what our
I don't
age is
know.
considered. Um, but it makes you wonder, like, if those people progressed to the point where, like, we're all gone, or maybe we're mostly all gone, and now they're more the dominant species, like, not species, but they're the dominant
Group of people,
society. Um,
society. That's a good way.
they're the dominant society. Do they look at what all we built, everything that we had, all the machines we created? Do they see that as like, wow, these people were like gods, or these people were like aliens? Like, how did they get all this tech, and how are they so advanced? And like we think of like how we think of like what aliens are would be. Like we when we think of aliens, we think of typically we think of humanoid, gray people that they have big eyes and they look a little different, but they're still mostly humanoid and they have spaceships and laser guns and all this super high tech stuff. It's like I wonder if we look that way to them.
Well, you know what? I think I can answer that. And it's just a very, very hypothetical way.
Hmm.
I think they'll do exactly what we did. Like, look at the ancient Egyptians, look at the ancient Mayans,
Hmm.
and what they were doing thousands and thousands of years before we were doing. You
Hmm.
know?
Yeah.
Like, they were building these huge, monstrous structures called pyramids and temples and
Obelisks.
giant, yeah, obelisks. Like, these are human, like, these are man-made. That
Hmm.
that we did that,
Hmm.
you know, and we were still kind of primitive, but we were developing, you know, and
Yeah.
we learned. We learned to adapt. We learned to grow. We learned to uh, expand. We learned to create like new technologies that we will still use to this day. Like we're using ways to create medicines, new ways to move around. We are creating calendars so we can actually come up with some way that we can keep track of this
I
unknown
think they
force
have
called time.
calendars. I think they have
They do.
calendars. It's
Okay.
obviously not our structure, and that's
Okay.
I would say that's mostly because they have probably very limited seasons. Because
True.
I think most of them are like in the tropical areas. Yeah, I don't think there's any like people that are
I
like in
probably.
like northern islands that deal with snow.
Yeah.
I don't know. Personally, I really don't know, but I would assume most of them are probably tropical, so they probably only really get like summer and maybe spring at best,
Yeah.
or fall
But they
at
would
worst.
learn. Yeah, but they would learn from
Oh
what
yeah.
we've done, what we were able to do, and then they would be able to be like, well, we got to do that too. So they would learn from our mistakes, and then hopefully they would create a much more civilized society that's a little smarter in the thinking, and hopefully we don't repeat history.
Hmm.
Although that would be kind of funny hearing about the very first like diary entries of that. Chapter 1. Ugh! I learned that this this advanced race of people were able to build this metal object that went to space. Fucking space.
Yeah. That's like, and that's what I mean. Like, maybe we won't kill ourselves. I mean, more than likely we're gonna kill ourselves, but maybe we won't kill ourselves. Maybe we will figure out a way to go to Mars or a different planet, or just live in space, like in orbit, or create like satellite bases or something like that. But
Yeah.
I we'll leave. We'll be gone, and that's what I'm trying to get to. Is that there's us none of our society around anymore. But obviously, all our stuff is probably going to be mostly around. Um, and eventually, I would assume that, I mean, these people have been around forever. So, I mean, they've been around for as long as us. So, I would assume that eventually they would venture out. That they would leave their homeland. Whatever their islands and their homelands are, they would leave, because you would have to
Yep.
think unless they have like I said, I don't know anything about this, but unless they have like a really uh, complex and calculated uh, population control of some sort, it's gonna be there's gonna be too little of anything and on their island, in their home.
Yeah.
So eventually they're gonna
Yeah.
have to go. Look, we gotta go. We can't stay here. We gotta move on. Um, and or at least or even if there was like a case where kind of like our pilgrim situation, we're like, fuck the king, fuck this, we're out, deuces,
Yeah.
we'll find our
Right.
own
We're gonna
land.
and co-create our own form of government
Right,
under our rule.
right. So they'll have their own, and this is just assuming that history is doomed to repeat itself. They're gonna have their own pilgrims and their own revolution and their own everything we've dealt with, but it's going to be through their society. And I wonder if and how much what we leave behind is going to impact them.
Yeah, that's a very saddening yet very intriguing thought.
That's exciting for me. It's not necessarily depressing. It's
It
exciting.
kind of is. Kind of is for me because have you seen some of our culture stuff lately?
Well, here's the thing. Whenever that does happen, we're dead. So, like, I'm dead, you're dead, our kids are going to be dead, like, their kids are
Wait.
going to be dead, even
Oh,
their
hell
kids
no.
are going to
My
be
kids
dead.
are living forever. I'm just kidding.
Like, we're going to be gone. There's no way that's going to happen in the next 50 years. That's
No.
impossible. But,
Knock on wood.
I mean, maybe we'll kill ourselves in the next 50 years, but I don't think they're going to go through a revolution and all that other bullshit in 50 years. That's not going to happen. None of us that are alive today, none of our children that are alive today, none of their children that are alive today are going to see that progress. And that's pretty cool. I mean, yeah, I guess it is kind of sad because we're dead and mortality sucks, but that's kind of awesome that even though we'll be gone, and even if we do end up killing ourselves, but these tribes persist, the human race will continue. Uh, like, that's kind of hopeful. Like, it's pretty cool. It's almost like
Yeah.
they're like our reserve. Like, we'll just leave them alone because if we fuck up, hopefully they're okay. But like
Yeah.
they'll be around. They'll be okay. Hopefully we don't fuck ourselves too hard in the ass and just destroy everything.
Yeah, I know. That would be wishful thinking, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So I don't know. That's just things That is a lot of stuff I like to think about. And I
I
usually
think
don't
that's
talk
actually,
about it.
yeah. Actually, I know this is gonna be totally weird, but I remember you asked me a while ago, uh, what did I think about this game?
Mhm.
Yeah, what did I like about it? That's kind of one thing I do like about this game. Except this is very, very far from the technology kind of thing. It's like you're kind of starting from square one, but not
Hmm.
really. I mean, you obviously know how to write. You obviously know how to talk. You obviously know how to behave like a functioning male or female, depending on what your character was. But you still have to go through that progression of you using stone items, stone tools, stone weapons, and then you work your way up to building more stronger weapons, better lasting tools. So it's like I do like that sense of I'm improving, and I feel like I'm actually growing with my character. I'm improving. We're going out of the desert into newer, more exciting lands than just in the desert.
It's
You know what I
very
mean?
true. Yeah, you're very right. I didn't even think of it that way, but now that you're saying that, it is very true. It's almost like playing through different ages, different evolutions of humans. Like, granted, you your character is basically a criminal, whether you're guilty or not.
Yeah.
Your person is a criminal who's been exiled. So you had some experience with some kind of civilized society, like
Yeah.
some kind of organized civilization, to exile you. And they even, like, wrote a note, like they wrote like what your crimes were, and like stapled it onto your chest or whatever. And
Right.
you know it's like, okay, so whatever the society we came from, they had to have been,
Very intelligent.
pretty intelligent. Yeah, like they had to have been organized enough. At
Yeah.
least like Dark Ages type thing.
Yeah. I mean, you still were educated and intelligent in the Dark Ages. Maybe the wrong
Oh,
kind,
behind
but
you.
yeah, that's why. Oh. Oh shit. Ah.
But yeah. So your character would have this, is predilection the right word? You would have this like prior knowledge of what you probably should be going for, like what you should
Right.
be doing. But whether you know how to get from point A to point B is a completely different story, I would suppose.
Yeah. Well, I did say that your character obviously knows how to talk, how to write and read, so you obviously know, but you're still kind of working your way back up the ladder again.
Yeah.
You're trying to be a free man or a
Free
free woman.
man. Free woman. Free person.
Yeah, that's the 21st century for you.
That's right. Just trying to be a free person.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, I guess we could probably. How long have we been talking?
About a half hour.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like pretty much talked about everything uh, to fit that idea, to fit that. I don't want to say theme, but
We were
everything that.
just having a random discussion about, you know, the history of what civilizations would have been. And I think it's a very good conversation because people in the 21st century got it easy. And we
Oh
don't
yeah.
really I don't think we fully appreciate what our ancestors thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago went through so that we can do this
Oh,
in
for
20
sure.
in 2020.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm really curious. I mean,
Corrupt
I'm
Gator.
saying I'm really curious. Like I'll be around to be able to see it, but I'm really the thought of what comes after us is really exciting.
Yeah.
Even if we're not, I mean, we'll be dead. But I mean, even if not, our society is dead. Like I said, if we move out, if we, go into space, um, if we leave this planet through death or travel or any other way, ascendance. Um,
We have ascended.
we have ascended. I don't know why I just randomly kicked, but yeah,
You gotta kick something.
I'm gonna
You gotta
ascend.
kick something.
Fuck yeah. But
I just
whatever.
hope that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say, whatever reason that we aren't around anymore, it's exciting to think like there are people that still exist on this world that wouldn't be leaving with us, wouldn't be involved in our conflicts or whatever, that could still possibly be around. Uh, so it's exciting to think like I wonder where the human race will go. Maybe it'll just continue to be a total shit show. You know, round two edition.
Yeah.
Or is it going to be really different because now we'll have all this technology, we'll have things left behind.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Well, if there's anything I can
Excuse
hope
me.
for after we're gone, hopefully that arts still exist. You know, music, literature, art of all kinds, and hopefully the Forsaken broadcast will live on after we're long gone.
Could you imagine? What?
Can you imagine
That'd be stupid. Just
if we're like heads in jars, like in Futurama, we're still doing this?
oh, that'd be awesome.
That would be cool. And on that note, I think we should just call it an episode.
Yeah. This has been some bro time with David and Danny. Thanks for joining
yeah.
us, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed our conversation. If you did, totally leave us a like and subscribe if you haven't already. We got more conversations like this. They're usually pretty stupid. Or they might be a little insightful. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like that's giving us a little too much credit. But
Yeah, way too much credit, David.
but if anyone has any cool ideas inspired by this, please let us know in the comments. If you have any like anything that you guys might have thought of that we didn't even think of to bring up, like, well, what about this? It's like, oh shit, dude, awesome, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, who knows? That might even be brought up in a future episode. So, like I said, leave a like, subscribe, smash that bell, leave a comment, and stick around.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, thank you. And stick around. There'll be more broadcasts and bro times in the future.
So until next time,
yeah,
adios.
until next time, adios. And bring a beer.